Right there guys, joining me back on the banks of Northey Park, and since I last spoke there's been a closed season and it's opened again, but I'm going to take you back to the end of the season. And if you remember, I had that really dry run where I didn't catch much for nearly 20 nights, then I caught a few. Well, I had a couple more trips after that. I think the first one resulted in a blank, and the second one I finally managed to get one, so it was more of a fizzled out with a pop rather than went out with a bang. The fish were about, they were getting all around the lake, they were cruising, but I was really struggling to get pickups. You know, I don't really know the feeding spots that well, and it seemed to me that they weren't willing to pick up a bait just anywhere. So it was I think it is going to be a trickier proposition than I first thought, but that all makes the getting there in the end the more sort of just better, really. You know, the harder you work for something, the more it will feel good in the end. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I caught that final one at the end of the season. I was moving around, fishing like a lunatic, but in the end I ended up back in the old faithful hump swim, and the fish on, I think it was the second from last day of my session, cruising around, just going over some shallow marks. And Neil White, one of the locals, Neil is Gary Bates' nephew, really good angler, and he tipped me off about a really nice spot where he caught a couple of fish, and these fish were working over this area. And rather than fish the conventional pop-ups that I've been really struggling to get pickups on, I went on the bottom, fished a tiny little stick with hybrid rafter, and ended my season with a lovely 22-pound linear. That, I think, was the Thursday night that I fished, and the season closed on the Sunday. And on the Saturday night, one of the locals, Johnny Kroll, he got his meeting with Kitch, and he caught it from a swim called Elliot's Pitch at 50 pound 3 ounces. So the season ended for him with a bang, and yeah, fair play to him. So anyway, I said after Northey I was planning to go to Burfield for the spring, and then spring and the summer, and then come back to Northey for the autumn. Well, I went to Burfield, done a couple of trips, and I was excited to start with, but to be fair, what I sort of expected was the case. You know, the fish were showing right out in the middle, beyond the realms of angling. You know, even if you could bait boat out there, which you're not allowed to, you wouldn't be able to land them without a rowboat. You know, they're 250 to 300 yards out, and you've got buoys everywhere dotted around, and there's only a couple of swims, or one or two swims, that you can access this entire area from. And as exciting as it was watching 40-pounders jump out of the water, I've got to admit it's really frustrating. You know, location on big low stock pits is the key, and if you can't find them, that's fair enough, but if you can find them, you want to be out fish for them. And just watching them jump out in somewhere I can't fish is spectating. You know, if I want to set up a tent and just watch fish jump, I could do that on a DVD player. So anyway, that's what happened at Burfield for the first 2 weeks. Fortunately, I've had a bit of a Brucey bonus. I've had the opportunity to fish another venue recently, and that's what I've been doing. Unfortunately, it's no publicity, so I can't really talk about that, but I'm going to try and keep these video blogs going by coming to Northey each week, maybe for 1 or 2 nights, depending. You know, it's going to be tricky. It's a tough little venue, and without dedicating myself to it, you know, I imagine the results will reflect that a little bit. But you know, I'll have to fish like a normal guy, get down and fish weekends maybe, but no, actually I won't be fishing weekends, I'll still be fishing midweek. But yeah, join me now. We're in Elliot's Pitch, and there's a good reason for that. This time last year, just after the opening of the season, Kitch was caught from here, and it's the same swim where it was caught from at the end of the season, so it's obviously a good haunt for it. First trip back, wind's lapping up here. I had a good plumb round yesterday, found a couple of gravel marks, and it's quite weedy out there, so I'm fishing really short. I've bivvied up right back from the water's edge, trying to keep the noise down. But although I found some nice spots, and I've got some tiger nuts out there, because I think that could be the edge on these sort of shallow lakes, a little less obvious, you know, a little bit more subtle. And I just don't think the fish are here, but you never know. I'm going to give it a couple of nights, and we'll see if they drift in, and we might have a chance, but I'm not certain, you know. And there is fish on the other side in a swim called the Hump, but I'm purposely trying to avoid that, which is almost a cardinal sin. But that Hump swim's done an awful lot of bites since I've had a ticket on here, and in previous years, and I don't think Kitch has got any form for that area. And I'm not one of these people that usually listens to stuff like that. You know, I tend to just fish for bites, and the big one generally comes along after you've caught a few. But there's some really successful guys on here that have caught a lot of fish from that area, and it's definitely the best swim on the lake. And I've caught all of my fish when I fished here from that peck, so it's going to take a lot of motivation or dedication, to stay out of that zone. But I am here for that one fish, and I'm going to try and focus my attention on the swims where it comes from, and introduce a bit of bait on a few marks, and just try and hit those swims in the right conditions. So that's what I've been up to, that's what I'm going to be doing, and I'll post another vlog in the next month, let you know how I'm getting on.